Guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. My name is Leah, and let's recap and review Summer House Martha's Vineyard. This is season 2, episode 9, the finale episode. And if I'm gonna be all the way honest, they could have kept that. Or at least came a whole lot harder. But let's get into it. So y'all know sometimes before we get into it, we get a little spicy, just a little bit. But I want to talk about a few things. So first up is an update on Amir. So y'all know that clip that I showed in the last spicy corner of Amir pretty much saying that like if Natalie can't be a part of the show or come with him on his vacation, like on the vacations with him in the cast, that he no longer wants to be a part of the cast. Like he has to reevaluate things. Well, Jasmine and Bria did an interview with Page 6, and this is what they had to say. So let me play that for you.
And Natalie,
yes.
we got to discuss that really quick because Amir recently said that he's not coming back for season 3 unless Natalie is full time. How are we feeling about that, especially after the way Natalie moved through season 2?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
He's grown. He'll be 30. Him and Brie are like the same age.
Yes.
Like, you're a grown man. If that's how you feel,
Stand on business.
Great. Stand on business.
I mean, I'm coming back regardless if Simon comes or not. So,
Okay.
I mean, no shade to him, but you know,
yeah. If that's how he feels, we respect his feeling.
So if you would like to hear more or read more about the interview that Jasmine and Bria did, I placed a link in the description box below. So here's my thing. First, shouts out to Bria for self-preservation. I'm glad that she said, no matter if Simon is on this show or not, I'm going to keep my check. And I said, as you should. This is an easy check. An easy check. Y'all are only in that house for 2 weeks. Get your money, lady. And then Jasmine tickled me because the ending of the clip where she was like, he's entitled to, like, you know, I'm happy he has feelings, or he's entitled to his feelings and we want to respect his feelings. That was it gave such corporate energy of like pretty much, thank you for your services. Best luck on all your endeavors beyond the company. That's what it really gave. And I wonder if Amir really thought that like his castmates and the fans would be like, there would be like an outcry, like, oh, no, Amir, like, come, no, Amir, we love you, come stay, it's okay, we'll accept January 6th, Natalie. And it's like, nobody has done that. It's been the opposite. Even people who don't really like dislike Amir, they just are kind of like indifferent to him, have been like, okay, bye. Or people who really don't like him have been bye. And people that even like him, I've seen be like, I don't like your girlfriend, so if I don't have to see her, then you can peace out. So I feel like he overplayed his hand, and I don't know if he thought like the fans were really gonna go up for him, but I'm just like, you're making decisions about your life based off of someone who, when asked like, what do you see in the next couple of years, she just talked about her business. You talked about getting married, and even she was looking at you like you were crazy. So I'm like, I feel like you like her way more than she likes you, and Natalie to me sees you as a means to an end. And I don't understand how you don't see that. And Amir is an adult. Like, yes, he's the youngest in the house, but he's 27 years old. Probably this year he's 28 years old. You're almost 30 years old. Like, you haven't done a lot of life living, but you've done enough where like you should be able to like analyze a situation and wonder if it benefits you or not. And basically taking an easy check away from yourself from somebody who really doesn't seem to care about you is wild to me. It's wild. So next, let's talk about Preston. So Preston did some more interviews. Recently he did the Carlos King, and Carlos King also did an interview with Jasmine. So check those out. And he also did an interview with the Brooke Ashley. Check her out. As well as he did like, I guess, an Instagram live with Candace from Real Housewives of Potomac. I didn't see it, but I know a few accounts on YouTube have like recorded it and posted it online. So like, Preston is making his rounds, and I'm not mad at him. I do think it's interesting to see the responses that people are having to Preston, though, like especially as it pertains to Preston's views on Jasmine. So I wonder, will that be addressed at the reunion or going forward for season 3 if they get a season 3? Because in the interviews, Preston has pretty much, for me, and this is just me speaking, I feel like he tolerates Jasmine. I don't think he really has a relationship with her or really even likes her like that. I genuinely think he tolerates her because he speaks about her as it pertains to like the whole like Jamaica trip. And we end up finding out that it was Shanice and Bria who didn't want Jasmine on the Jamaica trip. Summer and Jordan really didn't say they didn't want her there, but I'm just kind of like, well, y'all also didn't advocate for her to be there either. And Preston was like, that's y'all's thing. But then he goes on to say, like, I don't really have a relationship with her like that to like say anything, but then goes on to say things. So some people, it kind of rubs some people the wrong way, especially in the Carlos King interview. Not so much in the Brooke Ashley's interview, but the Carlos King interview. Some people were like, how can you say you don't really have a relationship with someone, but then you speak upon them like you have one? So I don't know, but it would be interesting to see if their relationship changes like very differently after like the reunion in next season. So, for the sake of the spicy corner not being too long, I was going to talk about what I thought about the outfits for the reunion, but I'm going to put that in a different video because we have to talk. But let's get into this review. Right, y'all. So the episode opens up where it left off, where they still in the kitchen. Mind you, like I said in the spicy corner, that Preston did an interview with the Brooke Ashley and Carlos King. I think the Brooke Ashley was the one that asked how long did that kitchen scene happen, and he said 3 hours. So that's why everyone was like yawning at the end of the scene, because they had been going back and forth and talking about this whole situation for 3 hours. So Nick done checked Noelle. He done checked Shanice. Now he trying to check Bria. Bria talking about, you not going to really check me. Basically telling Nick, get it out. Let it out. Get it out. Let it out. I said, see, y'all better than me. Because had I been Nick, I'd have cussed her out so bad. I'd have been like, oh, you want me to get it out? Let me get it out. Let me get it out, girl. So, she takes Milo outside, but before she goes outside, you see Nick basically saying, you really giving me this type of energy, Bria, especially when I took care of you last summer when you had a full-on meltdown and decided to be like a castaway in your room and lock yourself up. Like, I was bringing you food. And I'm also looking at Shanice funny because I'm like, out of all the men in the house, it seems like Preston has been really the only one of the guys that has been checking on Shanice and her busted ankle and making sure she's okay. So it's like he's been kind towards y'all, and y'all couldn't give him the same. Is messed up to me. So she goes outside. Simon's outside, and he's like, "Do I need to get involved?" And she's like, "No. Nick is only acting this way because he got caught." And I'm like, no, Nick being defensive and upset is warranted. Y'all are accusing him of, one, either being a weirdo and a creep, or two, that he's moving inappropriately in his relationship, or all of the above. Like, and he has a right to be like, if he doesn't feel like he's those things, to defend himself and be like, yeah, don't do that. Especially in this day and age of like Me Too, where you have some people who are using this movement in the wrong way to get men in trouble instead of like using it against the real predators and the creeps. Like, if I was him, I would be the same way. Because I do know some people feel like Nick blew it out of proportion. But at this point, in this climate, I don't care if he blowing it out of proportion or not. If I was him and I feel like that's the road y'all trying to lead us down, oh, it's a full hard stop. Even me as a woman, because women can be predators and creeps and weirdos as well. If somebody tried to accuse me of that, I would have been hard stopping. We would have had a conversation about it, because what you're not about to do is have me out here looking crazy in these streets and people feel like I'm sus. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fault him for being upset. I don't fault him for feeling like y'all are attacking my character, and I've done a lot to make sure that I have a good name in my career and in my running clubs, and like when people can feel comfortable around me. And mind you, I don't think Nick is inappropriate. I don't. He reminds me of one of my friends. She's a girl, but like, she's like, when she talks to you, she's always grabbing your wrist. like I was like, you just cannot like not touch people when you talk. And that's just how she is. And like, her brother is even that way. And I'm just kind of like, and he doesn't make me feel uncomfortable. He's never like touched me the wrong way. And I think that's what Nick is giving. Like, he's just touchy feely, and some people are like that. And I'm glad that when they had the conversation about it in the beginning of the season, he received what the ladies were telling him, i.e. Summer and Jordan, and they were able to move on. This right here is not that. Like, and honestly, I'm looking at Noelle, Shanice, and Bria like, y'all were dumb to allow this conquistador Karen, shouts out to Nikki Star TV, because that's what she was calling her in her last review, to get y'all caught up. Y'all allowed this person that you didn't know into your circle where y'all were just having girl talk, and she got y'all in trouble and is getting y'all yelled at while she sit huddled in the corner looking back and forth like this, scared that he gonna cuss her out. Y'all got played. Y'all got so played so badly. So Bria goes outside. Like I said, her and Simon come back in the house and they go up to her room, and she like, he ain't gonna talk to me like this, as she's putting on a face mask. So then Nick is like, y'all are really trying me right now. What, like, really? So then Preston is like, where do we go from here? Because like, I thought this was gone. Summer ends up saying in her confessional, like, if he hasn't touched Shanice, Noelle, or Bria, or made them feel uncomfortable, why do y'all feel the need to go into his relationship? And I said, y'all are right. You right, Summer. Because what was the point? So Jasmine can tell that Nick is really frustrated and upset. So she tries to give him a hug. And she was like, can I hug you? And he's like, oh, be careful, be careful. And she's like, boy. And my thing about it is, I don't think Jasmine would have allowed Nick to touch her pregnant belly the night before when they were all having a good time at the party if she thought that man was moving sus. Because pregnant women are very like guarded, like they stomach is a sacred space, especially when it's life in there. So I just feel like she know, and she felt bad for him because she could tell that his feelings were hurt by the conversation that was happening. So they all moved to the kitchen table, and so he's pretty like, Preston is like, this is a mess. And you got Summer being like, you know what, you always say we be babying Bria too much. And Preston is like, we do, and she needs to be held accountable, because ain't none of us ever walked away from a conversation like this. Like, none of us have ever been that disrespectful to do something like that, and she needs to be checked. And I said, she do need to be checked, okay? So while they're sitting at the table, Alex is like, I think Bria needs to be a part of this conversation. And like I said, it was a 3-hour conversation, and because he was like, she was in it, so I think she needs to have the conversation. So Alex goes upstairs to go get Bria. You got Noelle, who I think out of the 3 of the ladies, she felt the worst about the situation, because her apology was like, I don't take back what I said, but I do feel bad that this is what's happening. Like, it was never to be an attack on your character like that. And you could tell that she felt bad because like Noelle wears her emotions on her face, and she was just like, I don't think she realized that it was going to get like this. But I'm like, that's because y'all was talking to Conquistador Karen, okay? Which, like a lot of people have said, it's clear as day that Amir and Natalie concocted all of this, because Amir has been like, you know, trying to advocate for Natalie to be on this show, trying to be like, oh, she's such a good person. She's all about girl code. I'm like, I don't give a about girl code. Shut up. Shut up, Amir. Shut up. And so he's like, you know, he ends up saying like, I'm so glad Nick is mad at them and not Natalie, because if he was, Amir gets very much like, let me pump up my chest. Because mind you, even though he got active last season with Phil, I feel like the only reason he was pumping up his chest to Phil was because the rest of the men in the house were on his side. I feel like had it been like a one-on-one situation, I feel like Amir would have came in a totally different way. Even this season when he was like, these are my boys, like, let me finish talking. I feel like had the other men not been on the same side as him, he wouldn't have been giving Phil all that. Even though I think what Amir gave Phil was warranted with the way he came into the house, I don't feel like Amir is about that life the way he acting, talking about boy, girl, shut up. Like, shut up, Amir. He's such a loser and a lame. So they're sitting at the table. Bria finally comes downstairs after Alex comes and gets her, and she was like, he's being totally disrespectful. And I'm like, Bria, You couldn't take an ounce of what Nick gave you when you're the person that always is blowing up and going off on people. And mind you, even in my last review, there was a few people in the comments saying that they didn't believe what Bria was saying about facing racism. And I couldn't even fault them for having that opinion or feeling that way, because Bria be blowing up at the smallest things. Like, she's very immature to be 28 years old. Like, you're almost 30 and you still showing up like this. On top of that, like, the way you show up does make people look at you differently. Now, do I think Bria did face racism in Germany? Yeah, it's Germany. It's Germany, okay? On top of that, it's just like racism is global, but I can't fault the people who was just like, I don't know, she could be lying. It could have been a misunderstanding, because we see what happens when it's a misunderstanding with Bria. She gets active. She gets outside of herself. So they sitting down at the table there, and I guess it was a very long conversation, because we even see a flashback of Summer when she's talking about her experience as a kid growing up with a drug addict as a parent. So I was like, yeah, they was at that table for a hot minute. So they basically did the situation, because Alex was just kind of like, I feel like this got blown out of proportion. Bria ends up being like, I wasn't trying to accuse Nick of anything, but I was like, you were. You basically said if you gave him the opportunity, he would try you. And I'm like, even with the whole flirting on the boat, I don't even think he was flirting with you on the boat. He was hyping up your tired twerking. Mind you, my twerking is stiff as well, because I ain't got no yams back here. But also, even if they were in the car, because some people are like, when he was like, it's me and you for the summer, that was him flirting with Bria. I guess I wouldn't have taken it as that. You tell me it's me and you taking me to Nobu on the island. Hey, so be it. Yeah, flirt on, sir. Flirt on. But they move on from it, and Nick pretty much says he's not gonna hold a grudge. He was like, I'm not gonna hold a grudge. Like, we only got 2 more days in this house. I'm not about to have an attitude with everybody. I said, you better than me, because I'd hold a grudge, because you playing with me. Because then we see this scene of Nick and Bria by the steps, and she was like, are we good? Are you still mad at me? And he was like, no, we good. I'd have been like, we're not. Get away from me. So it is day 12, and Natalie and Simon are leaving. So Bria's pretty much like, she doesn't know where her relationship with Simon will go, but she just needs him to listen to her more. And I'm like, girl, if he's not listening to you now, like, haven't they been together for like 2 years? Why he not listening to you? Maybe it's time for you to cut your losses. Then Amir is like, he's upset that Natalie is leaving because, his fun is leaving. Mind you, when he explains what he meant by that, it wasn't like him saying that Natalie was fun. It was basically him saying that he was able to relax knowing that Natalie was in the house with him, and that he was able to have fun without her getting angry or upset, and him worrying about the way he's moving, offending or disrespecting her. And I'm like, when that came out your mouth, did you not listen to yourself, Amir? Because I'm like, do you know how controlling and toxic that sounds? On top of that, it makes Natalie seem extremely insecure. I don't think Amir understands that he is making his girlfriend look crazy. And I think he thinks by saying these things that he is showcasing that the best parts of his girlfriend. And it's like, no, she just looks insecure and controlling, and you look stupid and have low self-esteem that you would allow yourself to be with someone who you have to basically like edit yourself in a friend environment because you're worried about how they would feel because that person doesn't trust you. Mind you, there's no way I would want to be with a man that does not trust me or I don't trust him. If we don't have trust, which should be one of the basic pillars of your relationship, then we don't need to be together. I don't want to be with you because you're not going to be having me riddled with anxiety and stressed out, not being able to know if you are doing me dirty or not. Like, that's stupid. So we find out that Alex is going to do his Fill the Space. That's what he hosts in New York. That's what Summer and Jordan were mad about, where Summer is like, you didn't even invite the person that you were inside of event. So he's going to invite everybody. He has his friend Josiah coming, who I think plays the guitar and also sings. Then we find out that Noelle is still keeping her distance from Summer. Basically, like, you know, every time I tried to show up for Summer, I got my feelings hurt. So I'm good on her. I said, okay, girl. So the Fill the Space event is at the Lighthouse. It was actually a nice vibe. I don't think this is what this group wanted. But you know, Alex is with the zen and the realigning chakras type of energy. So he over here singing the waves, the waves, the waves, the waves, the waves. And everyone's making fun of it. It didn't sound bad. I saw a few people actually said that his music isn't that bad. Like they were listening to, like, I guess his EP, and a few people said the song was, I think it's either an EP or a single. And a few people said the song actually sounded good. So I'm like, okay, cool. Good for you, Alex. So while Alex is singing the waves, the waves, the waves, the waves, you got everyone painting, and they basically doing paint and sip. And so Shanice is like, this ain't my jam. We know Shanice just wants to twerk and get blacked out drunk, and she can't do that with this. You got everyone painting. We ended up finding out that, like I said, they sat at that table in the beginning of the episode for 3 hours. And based off of the pictures that everyone was painting, you have Summer doing one that's like darkness going into the light and light going into the darkness. And she was basically saying it's just a representation that there's always light after darkness. And we find out, they do the flashback where she basically says she saw some really effed up stuff as a child. And it has made her afraid and scared to actually, like, confide in people. So, like, she realizes she needs to work on that. So they leave the event. Everyone kind of had a good time. We end up seeing Preston, Jordan, and Summer in Jordan and Summer's room. And Summer starts crying, where she was like, you know, I always felt like I managed my emotions very well, but I'm realizing I haven't, and I need to go home and make sure my grandma's okay because I'm worried about her. I think in the beginning of the episode, we see her on the phone with her grandmother, basically saying, how are you? And the grandmother's eye surgery, I guess, making sure it went well. But Summer basically said in her confessional, she realizes that, like, she's an angry person, and that she's always wondering what was, like, you know, what was the reason why she had an outburst or something like that. And she was like, my grandma always brings that up to me, but now I realize that, like, I really have a problem and I need to leave. So she plans on leaving. So she's packing up to leave. We end up seeing Amir and Nick go golfing. I think they were at it's kind of like, I don't know if they were doing Top Golf, because Top Golf, I think, is just the shooting range where you just are hitting the balls into a distance instead of actually, like, playing a round of golf. Well, while they're there, Amir is inquiring, like, so what happened with you and the girls? So we find out that Nick, Bria, Shanice, and Noelle had a conversation, and Nick basically says, like, so I blew up on y'all for nothing. And because Noelle ends up saying Natalie was the one that said she wanted to talk to Tasia. We didn't want to have a conversation with Tasia. We was just talking. And Bria was like, yeah, you yelled at us for no reason. And I'm like, not for no reason. Y'all still should have got heat, because why were y'all having this conversation around somebody that you didn't know could be trusted? Again, that was y'all's stupid move. So then Amir is like, Natalie was just following girl code, you know? And, you know, no deed goes unpunished. I said, you keep saying girl code like that absolves your girlfriend from being messy. She was being messy. She's not some ethereal being, dude. Like, your girlfriend is messy and she hardly likes you. Oh, he gets on my nerves. So as Summer is packing up to, like, leave, she's going around the house and, like, pretty much telling everybody bye. I said, Summer was packing up to leave. So now it's the next day and she's actually leaving. And so she's going around the house, you know, basically saying goodbye to everyone. And we see Shanice and Bria down at the pool. So Summer's like, let me go say goodbye to them. And then before she goes out the house, she's like, is Noelle out there? They were like, like, no, I think they told her she was in her room, but I think they said she wasn't out there. So she goes out there and she says goodbye to them. She was like, I'm sorry for the way I've been showing up this summer. I just know I need to leave. And Bria was like, yeah, this ain't you. You probably need to take a spiritual bath or something. And Summer was like, yeah, I'm definitely am going to do that. Like, I already got one plan. And then as she leaves them, Shanice is like, it's probably a good thing for her to leave because you can tell that she's hiding how she feels. Like, she's trying to be like, hey guys, and it's like, girl, don't act like that way, because we can tell that you have a lot on you. But that's also because Summer doesn't want to share. And I'm glad that Jordan told Summer like the night before, where she was like, if you don't tell anybody what's going on, how can anyone help you? Because that's the truth. So Summer leaves. She doesn't say goodbye to Noelle. We see a text message conversation where Jasmine asks Noelle, like, hey, Summer's about to leave. Are you going to come and say goodbye? And she says no. But then when Noelle goes down to the pool where Bria and Shanice is, they're like, oh, did you say goodbye to Summer? And she was like, no, she didn't even come say goodbye to me. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways, Noelle. Like, someone asked you, are you going to say goodbye? You said no. And now you're kind of irritated that she didn't say goodbye to you. Also, you've been keeping your distance from her. So if I was Summer, I would take the hint that you don't really want to interact with me. So what am I wasting my time saying goodbye to you? Because then I'm going to be mad at myself if I knocked on your door and you didn't even get out of bed to say goodbye to me or even acknowledge me saying goodbye. Like, so to me, you can't have it both ways. If you don't want to be friends with a girl, don't be friends with her. And if you don't want to be friends with her, then you shouldn't expect them to say goodbye to you. So while they're at the pool, Milo ends up getting out the gate. I saw some people mad at production for not stopping Milo, but that's not their job to be a dog wrangler. At the end of the day, like, their job is to tape reality. So reality is Milo got out of the gated pool, and Bria should have either had him on a leash or made sure that everyone like kept her eyes on Milo. So Bria starts freaking out. She's like whistling for Milo. He's not coming. She's like freaking out, about to have a full-on meltdown. And Nick was downstairs. The moment she said he was missing, he jumped up. Amir jumped up. Alex is outside. Like, the whole house is trying to help Bria find Milo. And then 30 minutes later, they find him. And I don't know where he went. I hope production wasn't holding on to him to cause an issue. But he came back with, I think, like a stick in his mouth. So then they put Milo in the truth booth, and we find out he was like gone for almost 40 minutes. So they're all getting ready for like dinner. It looked like they were having like steak or something. And then Amir asks, like, can I get clarification about the conversation y'all had about the Tasia and Natalie situation? And because he was like, he kind of feels some type of way that Natalie was brought up, but he wasn't a part of the conversation that they had downstairs. And I'm like, why do you need to be a part of that conversation just because that girl is your girlfriend? And he was like, because basically Amir feels like they should have called him in because Natalie wasn't there to defend herself. But it's also like, why do we need you to defend your girlfriend to us? We know our interactions with her. So then Bria was like, why are you bringing this up? This is not an issue. And then Shanice said the same thing, like, it's over. So then he was like, so then Amir's like, I just want clarification of what's going on. And then Bria's like, dude, why are you bringing this up? It's dead. We're not talking about it no more. And then he was like, so then Bria starts yelling, Amir starts yelling, and then Bria, I think, was drunk because she was like, you need to take ownership of your girl. Your girl started all of this. She the one that wanted to talk about it. She started it. So then Amir gets really mad. Then you have Jasmine sitting in the den area being like, Bria, count to 10. Just count to 10. So Bria's counting to 10 because she's getting really elevated. Nick is like, are you a kindergartner? Like, you really got to count? And I'm like, at that point, Nick, shut up, because if that's her way of calming herself down, be quiet. So then Noelle's like, Nick, leave her alone. So then Bria's like, yeah, shut up, Urkel. And I was like, he did kind of look like Urkel. Because Nick was like, girl. And I'm like, you be letting that girl disrespect you. Because I would have caught, we would have been arguing again. But she getting really mad. So then they're all just watching them like Amir and Bria argue, and then he's like, stop yelling at me. And so then he Amir leaves the house, slams the door, and he's like, God. And I'm just like, you're a child. Bria and Amir are so immature. Oh, they're so immature. So Bria went upstairs and then she comes back downstairs with Milo, and Jasmine is like, Bria, can you admit that you were wrong for yelling at Amir? And she's like, yeah. And then Jasmine is before she said that to Bria, Jasmine's like, how do we get here? And then Preston is like, Amir kept asking the same question. What he asked for clarity, and they gave him clarity. And that is kind of true. Even though it was immature, the exchange. Why are you asking for clarity when you already got clarity? Like, Nick told you what they said. You know what your girl told you. 2 and 2 equals 4. Use your cognitive skills. Use your analytical, critical thinking skills, Amir. Your girlfriend's messy boots. She's messy, and you're trying to act like she's not, but she is. So, like I said, Bria came downstairs and Jasmine was like, Bria, can you apologize for Amir for yelling at him like that? And she said, yes, I can. So then everybody's sitting down and Bria basically says, nobody concocted a plan against Nick. It was your girlfriend, Natalie, who took it to Tasia. So then Amira is like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. And I'm like, you don't want to talk about this because everyone's noticing that your girlfriend was the one that kicked off the mess, and you don't want them to perceive her that way when we all know she messy. So then Alex is making fun of the argument because he was like, this is so stupid. So it's the next day and we see Amir, Nick, Shanice, and Alex go bike riding. While they bike to the lake, they basically talk about like respect, how they were like, they don't like, Alex was like, I don't like when we fight with the women. Like, I don't like it. And Amir's like, I don't like it either, but like respect demands respect. And I agree. Like, you aren't going to be yelling at me or arguing with me and not think I'm not going to elevate my voice and argue back with you just because you're a woman or a man. Like, don't disrespect me and I won't disrespect you. And Shanice was like, next time, just water's off a duck's back. Like, just, gray rock her. Don't give her no emotions. Don't give her no feelings. And the situation will go away. While the other crew is at the lake, you have the rest of the house minus Preston. Because I guess Preston was doing work all day because there was like girls chat where it's Jasmine, Noelle, Bria, and Jordan. Because Noelle was like, we all live in New York. Where do you find the good looking guys? Like, where do you find somebody that like you can date? And like, they were naming off different like spots and like, I guess like clubs and places to go. They even brought up Drake, and I said, girl, I don't know. And then I don't know who asked the question about, can you have two soulmates? And I think everyone was like, yeah. Jasmine said, I believe it, but I ain't got enough like, time and energy to like look for the other one. And then Bria was like, yeah, I believe it too. And then they were like, do you think Simon is Simon your soulmate? She said no so quickly. I said, girl. And then her explanation didn't make sense because she said her soulmate is in Tribeca. And I'm like, well, why are you not with that person? And then she said, Simon is my person and I think I'm going to marry Simon, but he's not my soulmate. And I'm like, is soulmate bad? Because like, I know twin flames, like in the spiritual, community has said that like some people perceive it as being a good thing. Like that is your one true love. But then I've seen other people talk about twin flames as it being a bad thing, where it's like that person is supposed to help you like correct the bad behavior you have or the negative traits you have because they mirror the same traits. I don't know. I was like, is that the same thing for soulmate? Because I was like, why not be with the person that you believe is your soulmate instead of being with Simon, who you just kind of like, he your person. It didn't make sense. Because then when they questioned her about it in the confessional, she was like, I'm not going to tell y'all his name. I said, I wonder how Simon feels watching that. Like, is he irritated? Is he upset? He's spaghetti. So it's the last like night before they all leave, and Jasmine decides that she wants to have dinner on the beach, and they got it catered. It's really nice. She was like, you got to start how you have to finish strong, like finish on a good note so we can go into next summer on a good note. So they're all sitting at the table. The food actually looked really good. They do the impressions game. I think Noelle's impression of Alex was funny. Even Bria's impression of Jordan was funny. Preston's impression of Noelle was funny. And then Alex's impression of Preston with always having a plate was also very funny. So then while they're at the table, I guess they're all talking about things that they can work on. And Bria gonna lie and say she don't like fighting with people. I said, girl, you get into arguments all the time. No, she ended up saying that because Amir apologized for the way he yelled at Bria. And Bria was like, thank you. And she's like, I really don't like to fight with people. I said, girl, you got into an argument day one. And when they showed the flashback of her at the crab broil, I'm like, you got into an argument day one, Bria. What do you mean you don't like to fight? So then I think everyone started talking about how they wanted to show up differently, and they might have some regrets about how they behaved. Jordan said she had no regrets how she behaved. That like she's like, I'm tired of analyzing my decisions. I don't regret anything. And I said, you really don't regret that you had for a majority of the trip you had a stank attitude. I say, I hope you saw this and self-reflected, Jordan, because you need it. You really need it. Because, last summer, you were a lot of fun. This summer, no, ma'am. You need to reflect. So we end out the episode or the season with Jasmine in the truth booth just talking about how this summer was a lot. And then before she could finish her statement, everybody comes in that's still in the house and they're like, Martha, we had fun. And it was a cute moment. So then the screen goes black and they say 6 months later and we see Jasmine giving birth. Mind you, this is why I feel like I feel like they rushed this episode because I'm like, why couldn't we dedicate 5 minutes to Jasmine having her baby? She ends up having her baby. I was really happy that Silas was able to fly in and be there with her, and he surprised her. She broke down in the bed, and then seeing him hold his son, it was just I was really happy for Jasmine because I was like, it had to be a lot to experience being pregnant by yourself. Not having the person that you want there to be with you, which is your husband, and now you're giving birth by yourself, but he was able to be there afterwards to be there with you in that moment. So that was very sweet. I'm also mad that they did not give us the trailer for the reunion, but I saw people on Twitter saying that the trailer was shown during Watch What Happens Live. Why? But all in all, if I had to rate this season, I would give it a 6.5. Out of 9 episodes, I enjoyed the majority of all the episodes. At least there was at least 6 good episodes for me. So I enjoyed it to a certain extent. I definitely think that they need to incorporate new people, as well as they need to start allowing, the budget needs to start allowing their friends and families to come kick it with them, because Jordan and Nick's party seemed to be the most fun because they had outside people there to come hang out and have a good time with them. So I definitely think they need to do that. Now, I want to say who I think needs to go and who I think needs to stay. So let's start off with Jasmine. I'm cool with Jasmine staying. I think Silas, some people said, I don't know, they wasn't acting this crazy without Silas. But I can have Silas and Jasmine being the main married couple and everybody else being in a relationship or in a fling. Nick can stay. Preston can stay. I don't mind Alex. Noelle is fine. I'm fine with Summer. I just hope Summer really went to therapy and got her life together. I'm hit or miss with Bria because sometimes Bria adds the spice that we need when she has a temper tantrum, but sometimes it gets irritating. Amir can go. Shanice is all right. She's all right. So I would think if we have another season, which is season 3, that they need to add at least one new guy and one new girl. And maybe they need to start having an A and a B cast where we have the A cast film for the first, we see the A cast for the first 5 episodes. And then the last 4 episodes is where we filter it in the B cast to kick up a new vibe in the house. But yeah, I would give this season a 6 and a 6.5. And that doesn't mean the season was bad. It was a decent second season, but I am looking forward to the reunion. And I'm out, y'all. So, as always, remember to be bravely authentic. Okay? Deuces.